Hello, everyone. Oh, that's bright. Where will I stand? Okay, so I come to you today, severely underdressed. Um, um, I come to you today as the two things, as the director of the Institute of Digital Enterprises at the Ateneo Graduate School of Business. We little quick plug. We're getting ready to launch the institute, and the institute is created to develop diploma courses that will help you transition from where we are today to the world of the future. I am at the same time a practitioner, so I'm a little bit of both. I'm an academe. I work on theories, but I'm also a practitioner. I spent my first 20 years in avionics, manufacturing, and defense systems with the United States Department of Defense. After 20 years, I left that bureaucracy to join Globe Telecom, another bureaucracy. Globe, I was at Globe Telecom, part of the leadership team for 10 years. I was the division head for product design and creation, making products like the ones that work. If it doesn't work, IT built it. I didn't build it. So I spent 10 years, and then I went into entrepreneurship. I had my first startup. It was an AI for telecoms that went very well. Partners with Ericsson, the Swedish network equipment provider. I moved on to my next successful startup, and that is using natural language processing, where I created a computational model for language. And so even though I don't speak the language, I can understand what it means, including things like sarcasm and jeje and emoticons. So from that AI, I exited that company again with a big smile in my face. I was lucky mostly, and then I started more in life sciences. Today, I have a research and development laboratory using basically artificial intelligence to detect cancer. We're using this on genomics as well as ultrasound and other imaging technologies. On the flip side of commercial things, we are doing media and consumer and retail business, where we are trying to ingest, for example, we're trying to ingest videos and pictures and the posts and the comments with it. And we're trying to understand, what are you saying? So I moved from natural language processing to computer vision and language. Am I moving too much? I need to chill out. All right, so moving that forward, I have around 20 data scientists. Everybody nowadays is a data scientist, by the way. I have 20 data scientists, all PhD candidates or maestro in physics and statistics. Some of them are also in computer science, but mostly on that, full stack. Are they allowed to ask questions? Yes. Later? How much later? Like after my talk. Okay, so if you don't mind, I will go through my presentation, use some use cases. I don't want to talk. I want to converse with you, right? Because there's so much information. There's so much stuff that I can share with you, and I'd rather that you come and ask questions so that I can direct the talk around a conversation of what really is in the top of your mind. Because artificial intelligence is the #1 risk to information technology as well as business process. And when I say risk to the current people who are occupying those jobs. So for that, I will not talk about those threats. This is about a happy talk, right? So we will talk about what it is. I'm sure a lot of you want to know, what the heck is this artificial intelligence thing that we're talking about? And then we'll talk about how is it being applied in the world today, yeah? Good, can we now turn off that spotlight? Dang it. And let's go to my presentation. All right, good. So beginning with, I don't know what the slide is trying to say, but what I'm trying to say to you is we will look at how we evolve from where we are today into where we're going to be. And it's no longer science fiction. It is real now, right? Why is it real now? First of all, Processing is cheaper than ever before. Building infrastructure is easier than ever before. You can go to you can go to Microsoft Azure. We gotta be politically correct, you know. And so you can go to Azure and you can deploy an infrastructure. You can create a deep learning instance in less than 1 hour, as long as you have a good credit card, right? So that's how easy it is. There is data. There's more data than ever before. As a matter of fact, a study by McKinsey, one of those big guys, indicated that every 18 months, the amount of data we have in all of the world doubles. Where is it coming from? It's coming from all your devices. There used to be a time when we share one telecommunications device. You know, doing this. If you know what I'm doing, then you're old school. But today you have multiple devices, right? You have this and you have that. You have carpal tunnel syndrome and all that. So these devices are talking. These devices are producing data. You heard of IoT, right? You know, Internet of Things. This thing, right? It's talking to my phone, right? And later on, it'll tell me, move your butt. You've been sitting around for a while, right? So all that data that's being produced, it's doubling every 16 to 18 months. And somebody has to ingest that data and find insights behind it and do something about it, right? So what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence as a descriptor is, it does what humans do. But it's not as high-tech as you think it is. Artificial intelligence has been with you a long time. It's your calculator. Get it? A calculator emulates human intelligence, and anything that emulates human intelligence is artificial intelligence. So while it's a little hypey, guys, let's break it down. What is artificial intelligence? So anything that automates, emulates human intelligence is AI. It's artificial. It's just that today it's smarter than ever, right? It is smarter than ever before. It started with the concept of neural networks in the 50s and 70s. Neural networks are computational models, applied math, that emulates the way the brain functions. It didn't work because there was no processing power that can compute, you know, the formula. So never mind, it moved on to the 80s and 20s, where 80s and 90s, where we started seeing machine learning. And as a matter of fact, when you look at credit scores, that's machine learning. It basically look at historical data, it's enriched by current data, look at historical performance, look at the forms or the application form, they ingest all those data points, and together they say, you are a good creditor, I will lend you 5 pesos. So from machine learning, because of processing and big data, we have what today is called deep learning. So deep learning is a branch of machine learning, and what it does, so at the very core of it, is the way it works is you have deep learning. So deep machine learning is the use of, ready for this, it's going to give you a nosebleed, artificial neural networks, recursive neural networks, general adversarial neural networks, and the different uses of advanced applied math to try to automatically find patterns. So in the old days, we enter variables, right? We enter variables or attributes. It searches the database, and then it tells us an insight. And if we're good scientists, we won't have a bias. But humans have bias. The reason why you're alive today is because of the successes you've had in all of your life until today. And therefore, you will always gravitate towards that bias, and anything you read, you eat, you do, is always in favor of that organic bias that we all have. An artificial intelligent machine has no bias. He only has his computational model. He runs the model, he finds the pattern, and he says, hello, I have an anomaly here. It doesn't look like the rest of it. Hey, I found a pattern here, and the humans can then use these patterns. Look, I'm not just talking this because there is a corollary in the analogy. It's in the calls you take. The intonation of the caller, the pitch of the caller, right? And if the caller who's complaining has a certain pitch, he's annoyed. right? And when he's talking to you and suddenly the pitch changes, something changed. What changed? So that is where AI can play in, right? So a greater domain is called artificial intelligence, to make it simple for people to understand that you don't have to have a statistics degree to understand that what artificial intelligence is: pattern recognition, it's anomaly detection in data, and it is ready prediction. If I can look at all these patterns and anomalies and I can predict it with high accuracy and specificity, then I have artificial intelligence, right? So, so why is artificial intelligence important? First of all, it can find insights from a lot of data without any experience. It doesn't have to go to school. It doesn't have to go to a course. It just performs, and it does that. It's very good with large data. It achieves incredible accuracy every single time. It is also able to adapt through progressive learning algorithms. And most of all, the little guy over there that you can't see very well, the artificial intelligence doesn't tire out. So think about this Turing test that I was doing, humans versus machine, where the machine is reading an X-ray and the human is reading an X-ray. Ready for the test? 1,000 X-rays in 1 hour. So obviously, human fails. Machine doesn't fail. He doesn't do this. Oh, I'm tired, right? Can't do that, right? So that's where AI is very good, right? Okay. So what are the most affected functional areas? Tell me, someone will tell me how far along I'm doing in time, right? So the ones that will be heavily affected by artificial intelligence relatively quickly, according to a study by Forbes, is ranking number 1 is technology, media, and telecoms. So whether you're TELUS or whether you're Verizon, or whether you are Do or Etisalat or Globe or Smart, you will be one of the first people that's going to be affected in it. And there's a reason why, right? When you look at media like Disney or ABS-CBN or MediaCorp, Netflix, the reason why they will be affected is because they have a lot of data, right? So data centers, because they have a lot of data, media, technology, they have a lot of data, so they'll be affected by it. The next part, in their very own same domain, infocom, technology, telecoms, and media, the second part, the first part is their infotech will be affected, the way they store. There is a vision by someone I was talking to at Cal Poly Techni, that they were telling me the future data warehouse will not be a storage of data, but if it would be a storage of models and attributes, not FHM models, you know, it's like data models, right? So and those tech guys, are there tech guys? Raise your hands. Tech guys. All right, good. I can calibrate. Instead of storing data, it memorizes models. For example, your brain doesn't remember the exact date it learned how to pick up a coin, but it remembers the model of how to pick up a coin. So the future of infotech is not about saving those specific files on where, what, when, why, but more on how, right? So that's the future of infotech. Second part is customer service. Third ranking in those areas are marketing. In consumer, the first rank that's going to be hit is the supply chain. So the different channels, they will move from retail to digital, digital to retail. They will have multiple channels. There would not be one channel. There would be, I'm on my browser in my laptop, and then I walk away. It moved over to my device, and then I put it away. My device, I turn on the TV, and then there is my, so it will follow me across the different channels, right? So that's the supply chain of consumer. When you order my shoes, they manufacture it, and this whole supply chain kicks in, right? No longer is the old supply chain going to follow. Huh? What did I do? What? Did I do something? All right. So you can see how your industries will be affected in this chart. I didn't do this. It was Forbes that did this study. Very quick, a couple of data points. Among those different industries and domain, the question is to what extent the adoption of AI will affect your organization's offerings today versus 5 years from now. You see that media telecom says about 25 to 30% of my business will be affected today. Some people, like the public sector, says relatively small, but in the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years, you can see that a lot of these domains will be affected by artificial intelligence. And when you say 5 years, that's not too far from now, right? It's very close. And then, in as far as expectations across the impact to their processes, you will see that almost all of them are saying, right now, I will be affected, up to 20% of my processes will be affected by artificial intelligence. So the people who has SAP here, SAP HANA, real-time business process management based on apps, so on and so forth, that's 20% to 30% of their processes will be impacted today. Not in some future AI, right? And then moving on to the coming years. The adoption level is in varying states across the organization. Many organizations are still trying to figure out what is the business case for AI. How do I make money doing AI, right? So 22% of those companies that were surveyed has not adopted AI and no plans to do so. And 32% has not adopted it, but plans to do so in the future. And you will see that the rest of it, about 46% of it, is starting to pilot and adopt AI. So you don't jump into AI. You go and start exploring into AI. So if you don't get started on it, you'll get too far left behind, and then the learning curve is gone. Why is that? There's this thing about AI that's very important. It's called training. So training is when you create a model and you have to train the model with enough data to experience until it can hit absolute accuracy in terms of its ability to predict. Yeah? So it's important to start doing it small. It's important to partner with companies, smaller companies, so that it's fast. It's important to be careful to put it inside big companies because they will be saddled down by the heavy bureaucracy and the processes of big companies. Most of the reasons why AI is being adopted is because of competitive advantage. It will bring them new businesses. It will allow them to enter into new markets. So these are the different reasons why AI. One of the things that I always say when people ask me why AI, right? Why artificial intelligence? What's so special about it? And I always say, look, AI answers the very same old questions. And all AI does is it gives it new answers. Old questions, new answers. That's what AI does. So let's talk about some examples, right? So for HR, here is liquidation. Expensify is an organization that decides to approve your liquidation based on decision-making trees, which is inferred to down here in the lower right-hand side of that, so that there is no more routing for signatures on expenses. Expensify allows you to put in the rules, and it can look at the history of the company, the levels of authority, and therefore approval for liquidation of expenses is in 1 second. 1 second versus what? 3 days, 2 months, right? So that's what Expensify is. And if I explain to you the process, it's a little laborious. I go into the data set, I look at the patterns of what is bad expenses, not allowed, and I look at the patterns of good expenses that's been allowed. I look at levels of authority. I look at fraud, right? And then I build it behind Expensify. That's what Expensify does. So it eats up your data, learns the patterns, and then gives instantaneous liquidation. Next is Maya. Maya takes on the 60 to 70% screening questions that HR asks of the applicants. So whenever you apply, there are what I call housekeeping questions that are typically asked by HR. I'm not an HR practitioner. I'm faking it. So what Maya does is there's a bot that asks the question, and it has natural language processing. The questions are answered natural language. The questions are answered by natural language by you, and then based on your language, based on your response, it will then screen you. So, for example, if you give a very theoretical answer, you will be subjected to a barrage of other answers to try to flush you out, right? And then the screening questions are taken care of. It uses there's this app called BuzzIn. BuzzIn is a bunch of bloggers and trolls, maybe, we don't know. And then you've got a bunch of brands, right? And these brands, what they do is they want product reviews or restaurant reviews, and BuzzIn uses an algorithm to provide the values, including fake ones, bloggers, and then recommend it. It's kind of like Tinder for bloggers and brands. Neutrino AI partners with media, reads Neutrino AI partners with media, reads scripts, comedy scripts, and then reads the profitability and viewership of the movie, and then it generates an AI-generated screenplay. So, of course, the screenwriters, they'll still have to look at it and say, but it can auto-generate screenplay. But the rise of the machine intelligence is not the rise of the machines, right? So they're not going to have sentience soon. They will not try to come back and kill us. They will not say, hey, you're stupid, you need to be fired, and they're not going to do that. A lot of AI will still be narrowband, meaning they will learn tasks, they will learn to think in very narrow ways. They will not learn how to skip other domains and start figuring out that what I'm doing here, chemistry, I can do to cook adobo. No, they can't do that for a long time. The judgment in terms of the maturity of AI adoption with your organization. Are you in reaction mode, which means your data prediction is reactive, or are you on predictive mode where your accuracy of data is far more advanced? So you need to think about where to target how your organization will get there. I will simplify the message here. The message here is I can use AI for acquiring or attracting talent, or as low as I still don't know what AI has to do. So AI is easily used for HR use cases, easily used for IT use cases. But the problem is there's still a great challenge in trying to understand what is the business case of artificial intelligence. But it's here today. It's in your machines, right? Though when you play PlayStation or Xbox One or Dota, there's an artificial intelligence that's smarter and smarter every day that can kick your butt, right? Try to do it in expert mode, and you can see that the bot can kill. Right? So it's in Siri, it's in Uber, right? Think of Uber. Uber sits on top of Google Maps, right? So there's Google Maps. They put. Think of Waze. Waze is my favorite. It's so jologs, but it's so good. It so works. It's Google Maps. They layered on top. You guys, because you downloaded the app. You gave them all the permissions, everything. They know your mother-in-law, right? So because all of this data on top of Google Maps, I can now predict time, estimated time of arrival. Of course, it can't do it if you're the only car in the grid, If you're the only car in the longitude latitude, it can't predict the ETA because there's no other cars to triangulate the data with. And the more of you guys in that same area, the better Waze works, right? So if everybody follows what Waze says, the original road you avoided is now open for you to take. So it's all around us. It's in Alexa, right? I have one of these at home. I say, "Hey Alexa, mood lighting," and then then it's in your watch. It's here. My final message is don't let it scare you. Embrace it. Learn, research. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's very easy. There's more data than ever before. And Ateneo is going to be launching its program, and hopefully we form a strong partnership with IBPAP where we can raise your competence level to where it is today to a digitized future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for an interesting presentation.